All right. So thanks everybody for taking the time to join the webinar here today. My name is Zach Campus. I'm the general manager here at Commerce7. I'm joined today with Alicia Rubino, who is a customer success specialist at Commerce7. And today we're going to be going over driving sales with personalization in Commerce7. And to give you a little bit of context on why we're doing this webinar here today, at Commerce7, we know that personalization is super important. Personalization online has a ton of benefits to it. With our platform, we've got a number of tools that can be used to personalize online experiences. And yet, even though personalization is so important and we have these tools, we're finding that there's still quite a few wineries who are not personalizing online. And so the goal with the webinar here today is to try to outline the value of personalizing online, show you how it can be done with Commerce7, kind of encourage you to personalize as you can, and provide you with a couple of examples if you don't know where to get started of how you can start personalizing online here today. So just to give you kind of an overview of what we'll be going over here. It's not going to be too long of a webinar here, probably 30 minutes or less. I'm going to briefly touch on what personalization is and why you should be personalizing online. The bulk of the webinar is going to be going over how you can start personalizing with Commerce7. We'll give you some examples of copy that you can use and how you can get started with this. And at the end, we'll do a bit of a Q&A, right? So if you have any questions throughout the webinar here, comments or anything like that, feel free to put them in the Q&A box. Alicia is going to be monitoring that. And at the end of the webinar here, we're going to go through a number of the questions here. So just to get started, right, what is personalization? So personalization is personalizing a site visitor's experience based off of the unique relationship you have with that site visitor, right? So it's dynamically changing the content or the products on your website to personalize those products or content to the specific visitor who's on the site, and basing that personalization off of the unique relationship you have with them, right? So personalization is not something that's new. There's a ton of brands that are doing this online today. The biggest, most obvious example of somebody personalizing online today is Amazon, of course, right? If everybody in the webinar here was to go to Amazon.com, each one of us would have a personalized experience on Amazon, right? We'd all have different home pages. Amazon would be serving us all different content, different product recommendations, right? So when I go to Amazon here today, this is what I see on my homepage. I see some books that are tailored to my interests here. I see some electronics, some other products here, right? And so this is all personalized to my preferences based off of the relationship I have with Amazon here. If Alicia, who is on the call today here, were to go on Amazon, right, what she sees is completely different, right? Alicia sees, kids' toys here, children's books, baby products, right? And so you could probably guess that Alicia has young children. Amazon's definitely guessed this. And based off the context of that knowledge, they're personalizing and tailoring what they show Alicia here on the website. Another example with Amazon here would be Matt, right? Matt's our digital marketing manager at Commerce7. And so when Matt goes to Amazon, once again, what he sees is completely different from what Alicia and I see, right? Matt sees some games, he sees some electronics, some science fiction books here. So the three of us all get very, personalized, tailored experiences based off of, the relationship we have with Amazon, what we've purchased in the past, what we're searching for, right? Everything's kind of personalized and tailored to our unique preferences here. So with personalization, it doesn't have to be just about product recommendations or serving up, different products based off of purchase history and things like that, right? Personalization can also be changing the other content, right? Messaging or other content on the site that a visitor sees. So a good example of somebody who's changing the messaging shown on a website and personalizing that would be Dollar Shave Club here, right? So Dollar Shave Club, if you've never been a Dollar Shave Club member, if you've never subscribed to Dollar Shave Club and you come to the homepage today, this is what you see, right? A pretty generic homepage. If you used to be a Dollar Shave Club member, if you were subscribed and you canceled or you churned, what you get is a personalized experience when you come back to Dollar Shave Club, right? You get a nice, we miss you message here. They ask you to rejoin the club, right? They're not asking you to join the club. They're asking you to rejoin. And so they're just kind of slightly tailoring the messaging here based off the context that you once were a member and you're no longer a member, right? They're personalizing the messaging there. So the reason that so many big brands are doing this, and that, the reason why you need to start personalizing today here is because there's so many key benefits you get when you personalize online, right? When you personalize online, you create better consumer experiences, right? Great shopping experiences are personalized. So when you personalize, you create a better experience there. When you personalize online, you drive revenue, right? You increase average order value. People are adding more products to their orders when you personalize. You drive the chances that somebody makes a spontaneous purchase, right? People are buying products that they had no intention of buying based off that personal recommendation there. And finally, when you personalize online, you drive retention, right? A personalized experience is a better experience. When you're giving me a better experience, I'm more likely to come back and purchase again and again there, and you're going to retain my business. So if we go through these one by one here, right, personalization creates better customer experiences. We know that 71% of customers have expressed a level of frustration when their online shopping experience was not personalized. Right? So consumers are wanting personalized experiences, they're better experiences, and when you're not delivering those, there's a level of frustration there that can come up. And this might sound a little dramatic here, but this really makes a whole lot of sense here, right? Think of this in terms of your winery or your tasting room. If I were to come into your winery often, if I were to come in, every month or every couple of weeks, and you got to know me and we started to develop a relationship and you got to learn about me, I would be pretty frustrated if I came in one day and, you just acted like you didn't know me. There was no personalized relationship there. You're just giving me the generic, story of the winery and all that, right? That'd be a frustrating experience for me. If I came in and I told you it was my birthday, or if I was coming in for my anniversary or something like that and you didn't acknowledge it or anything like that, just gave me a generic experience, once again, that would be frustrating there. So, personalization leads to better customer experiences. All right, personalization also drives revenue, drives order value. At Commerce7, we collect a ton of aggregate data on our winery clients, and we know that our clients who are utilizing personalization are definitely outperforming those who are not. But our clients who utilize personalization, they get 16.5 times more add to cart clicks on their personalized pages versus our customers who just have static product pages there. Right, so personalization is driving a ton of revenue, driving a lot of add to cart clicks for our customers who are utilizing it. We also know that 49% of consumers have purchased a product based off of a recommendation before, right, a personalized recommendation. Once again, right, this makes a whole lot of sense. If I were to come into your winery and you were to ask me, what kind of wines do you like? What kind of flavors do you like? Do you like earthy flavors, acidic, fruity? And based off that conversation we have, you were to, say, hey, Zach, I think you're going to really enjoy this wine. Chances I purchase that wine go up dramatically, of course, right? So same thing happens online. When you offer someone a personalized recommendation online, chances they buy that product go up a ton here. And finally, personalization drives customer retention. Right? We know that 44% of consumers say they'll likely become a repeat buyer after a personalized shopping experience. Right? So customer experience is the #1 reason why a consumer chooses a brand. Great online shopping experiences are personalized. So if you give me that personalized experience, the chances that I become a repeat customer, come back and buy again and again, definitely go up there. So a ton of benefits to personalizing online. Right? How do you get started with personalization in Commerce7? How do you start to kind of execute on this? In Commerce7, we have a number of features that can be used to personalize. So we have our personalization engine and we have our personalized collections. And so we're going to go over these here in detail. But first, I'll just give you kind of a high level overview in case you're not familiar with the personalization engine. So I'm going to go to my demo account here, and I'll show you how the personalization engine works here. Right, so on my homepage here, this is my winery demo account here. Right on the homepage, if I scroll down, you can see that I've got some personalized content here. Right, I'm welcomed back by my first name. I'm shown my next club package right up front here. I'm outlined that this is about to ship and that I can add 6 more bottles here and get free shipping. So I'm kind of incentivized to upsell here. And so this is a nice tailored piece of content to me specifically as a club member. If I were to log out and visit this page as an anonymous guest, right, what I see is completely different. Right, instead I see just kind of a generic, about the winery here, the winery story with some staff recommendations. And so the way that this works is I'll show you in the back end here of Commerce7. Right, in Commerce7, if we go to marketing and personalizations, you can set up what's called a personalization block. You can have as many blocks as you want, and you place these blocks anywhere on the site you want. So for example, I've created this homepage block, and I've had my designer place this homepage block right here on my website, right below the fold, below this nice image up here. But you can have blocks placed anywhere on the site. You can have as many as you want. For a designer, adding this block is super easy. It's one line of code that they just add to the page here. And then, that's all they have to do is just add one line of code here. So once I have this block on my homepage, what I can do is I can set up different content options that are going to trigger based off different criteria being met by the site visitor. So for example, on this homepage block here, I have 4 potential pieces of content that can be shown here, right? If we jump into one of these here, let's take a look at, this is what we saw earlier, the welcome back by my first name in the club package. Right, so right here, we can see the text here that we saw earlier, welcoming the customer back by their first name, telling them their club's about to ship. We're going to show them a club package. We're going to have this content trigger anytime the visitor is a club member here, right? But tons of different ways we can set this up. We can have personalizations trigger based off of the customer's birth date, right? Their birthday day or their birthday month. We can have content trigger based off the customer's lifetime value. We can have content trigger based off of the last order date for the customer, specific clubs that the customer belongs to, or even tags here, right? If you're not familiar with tags in Commerce7, these are basically customizable customer segments. So you can create as many tags as you want. You can tag customers however you want. So for example, I've got a couple different tags I've created, one for industry members, one for VIP members. And so we can serve up personalized content based off these tags here. In terms of content, we can show text, of course. You can also show buttons like a club sign up button, images. You can show club shipments. You can show product collections, different customizable groupings of products that can include a personalized collection that's going to change based off who's viewing it. So for example, with a personalized collection, if I only ever buy red wines in that collection, I just see red wines. If you only ever buy white wines in that collection, you're just going to see white wines. We can also do subscribe forms and general content here. So what happens if a visitor to the site meets the criteria to see 2 different pieces of content? Well, we have the sort order here that controls the the priority of the content that they're going to see. So for example, let's say here I come to the site and I'm a club member, but I'm also a repeat buyer. So I could see, either one of these pieces of content. I'm going to see the content that has the lower sort order, right? So for the club option here, I have a sort order of 1. If we go down to the repeat buyer, right, it's got a sort order of 2. So I'm going to see the club content there. So, tons of different ways to set this up. There's a lot of opportunity here for personalizing in Commerce7. And, understandably, this can be a bit intimidating to get started with. This might seem a little overwhelming. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through how we at Commerce7 would recommend setting up and getting started with personalizations, right? If you don't know how you want to personalize on your site, we're going to go over kind of a simple example of how you can get started with this. So how we'd recommend getting started with the personalizations is to personalize based off of the customer ladder here, right? The customer ladder, if you're not familiar with this, it has some other names like the customer journey, customer life cycle, things like that. It's basically the steps that a consumer takes with your brand as they become more engaged with you, right? So at the bottom of the ladder here, I'm an anonymous visitor. I'm not super familiar with your brand. As I become more and more engaged with you, I become a first-time buyer, right? As I move up again, I become a repeat buyer. Eventually, hopefully, I become a club member. And so I kind of work my way up this customer ladder here. So when you're thinking about how to start with personalizations, we would recommend personalizing based off of a customer's step or status within this customer ladder here. So we can show some examples of that here, right? Let's start at the bottom, right? So what kind of content would we want to show? What kind of personalized content we want to show somebody at the bottom of the ladder here, right? Somebody who's not very familiar with the brand, not very engaged with us, kind of an anonymous guest here. Well, think in terms of what you would want to show and what you would want to tell or share with somebody if it was their first visit to your winery, right? If I come to your winery and I've never engaged with you and I don't really know about your winery, you're going to want to tell me the story. You're going to want to tell me about the brand. Maybe you're going to recommend some featured or popular wines from the winery there. And so that's exactly what we can do online, right? We'll do the same thing online here. So when we come to the website, this is the piece of content we've got set up for an anonymous visitor. We talk about the winery here, tell the winery's story, offer some staff recommendations here, right? So that's what we can do for somebody at the bottom of the customer ladder. That's the personalized experience we can give to them. As somebody moves up the customer ladder here, they become a first-time buyer. They make their first engagement with your brand. They've made a purchase here. We can change the content that we're going to show them on that homepage or on the website, right? And so, think about what kind of content you would want to show to a first-time buyer, right? What would be your goal here with a first-time buyer? The goal with a first-time buyer should be to get them to purchase again, right? Turn them into a repeat buyer. We know that retention or the second sale is a lot more important than acquisition or the first sale. Retention is a lot more profitable than acquisition. Retention is also a lot less expensive, right? So it's super important to get that second sale there. The second sale is actually the most important sale that a customer is going to have with you. And this is because we know that if a customer buys a second time from you, the chances that they buy a third or fourth time go up dramatically, right? If somebody makes their first purchase, there's a 27% chance they're going to buy again. If you can really push for that first time buyer to purchase again, though, if you can push for the second sale for the repeat business, the chances that they buy a third time go up dramatically, though, up to 45% here, right? So the second sale is super important. And so with that into consideration, we can design the personalized content accordingly, right? So we go back to the website here, and I'm going to log into my account that is a first time buyer here, right? So I'll come into my account here. And when I come to the home page now, right, this is the personalized content that I see. I'm welcomed back by my first name, and I'm shown some personalized products here, right? So enjoy your last purchase, then you'll love these similar wines here, right? I know that these wines are tailored to my unique preferences. These are wines that are tailored based off of my first purchase with you here. We really want to get the second sale here, so we're even going to offer up a one-time use coupon code to really push for it. We're going to give them free shipping if they make a second sale here, if they make a second purchase. So I can add a product to my cart here, and I'll go to the checkout, and I'll enter that coupon code and make my second purchase here. And now I'm a repeat buyer, right? Now I've moved one rung or one step up the customer ladder. So if we go back over here, we see that now I'm a repeat buyer, and now we can personalize my experience on the site, personalize the content I see accordingly. So, what would be the goal here with a repeat buyer? What's the goal when we push someone up to this step of the customer ladder? When somebody's made 2 purchases from you, they're a good candidate to upsell into the club. And so you can personalize the content accordingly. You can get a little more aggressive with a club upsell here, right? So if we come back to the website, we see on the homepage, I've made 2 purchases now. And so once again, I'm welcomed back to the website by my first name. I'm outlining the benefits of joining the club up front here. I've got a big call to action to join the club. And so you can get a little more aggressive with that here, right? Now that I'm a good candidate to upsell into the club here. So let's say that I join the club and I sign up here, right? And so now I'm at the top of the customer ladder. Now you've moved me up one more rung. So what type of content are you going to want to show me now here? Well, now when somebody's at the top of the customer ladder, they're a club member. Right now, the new goal should be to increase their average order value, right? They're buying consistently from you because they're subscribed to the club. And so the goal should be to get them to purchase more when they do purchase. The best way to increase a club member's average order value is to allow them to personalize their packages and encourage them to personalize their packages, right? We know that at Commerce7, when a member is given the opportunity to adjust their package, 24% of club members will change the package. And for our clients, this is leading to an increased average order value of $33 more per package here. Right, so if you want to increase the average order value for the club packages, we'll encourage people to adjust them. And so with that in mind, we can tailor the personalization accordingly. Right, so when I come to the site here, I'm a club member. Your goal is now to get me to increase the average order value. I scroll down here. I'm welcomed back once again by my first name. I'm shown my next club package right up front. It's really right on the home page. Really easy for me to jump in here and change things around and increase the average order value. And you can also offer some incentives here for me to increase the average order value here, right? You can let me know that, hey, if you come in, if you add 6 additional bottles, we're going to give you free shipping here. And so I'm kind of incentivized to upsell the package here. So that's a pretty straightforward way of utilizing the personalization here based off of the the customer ladder. If you're not sure how to get started with personalizations, this is a great way to get started here. So how can you get started? Number of things here. So after this webinar, we're going to send you a recording of the actual webinar that we're going over right now. We're also going to send over a document that has templates of the 4 personalizations we just saw, right? That has templates and instructions of how to set those up. So the exact same personalizations that we just went over, we're going to send you exact instructions on how to set those up, set up the logic, set up the content, and all of that. In that email, we're also going to include the designer documentation for your developer or designer that shows them how to put that one piece of code on the homepage or anywhere on the site where you want the personalization to show up. We're also going to include a couple more tips, a couple more pieces of documentation on utilizing the personalizations. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully this encourages you to personalize more, outlines the value of personalizing online, and provides kind of a good starting point if you're not sure where to get started with the personalizations. So at this point, going to turn it over to Alicia and see if there's any questions that we can go over here.
Thanks, Zach. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We got some questions. First one, how long are the login tokens active before they need to log in again to get the personal content?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically with Commerce7, we have a cookie-based login. And so what this means is if a website visitor has ever logged in or made a purchase on the device that they're visiting on, they're going to automatically be logged in when they return. That cookie doesn't expire unless they clear their cache or they clear their history. So basically when I come to your site, if I've logged in before, if I've ever made a purchase before on that device, I'm automatically logged in and my experience can be personalized immediately. I don't have to enter my username or password to start getting that personalized experience. I just get it right up front.
Awesome. Next question is with the collections, especially dynamic collections, how can we set it to sort by customer preference for club members and past purchasers?
That's a great question. Yeah, so when you go back into Commerce7 here, if you go to store and collections, you can set up what's called a personal collection here. You really only need one of these. And so what this personal collection does is it's going to show dynamically changing products to whoever's viewing it based off of their past purchase history, right? So if I'm a club member, if I'm a repeat buyer, if I'm a first-time buyer, I've made purchases before, the system, the Commerce7 system knows, what they bought, and it's going to recommend some of your products to this customer that's viewing this collection based off that purchase history here. So, how this works, how this is kind of powered. If you've ever set up products in our system, you know that we don't allow you to create your own varietals. We don't allow you to create your own appellations. We're more strict with our data on a couple other things there. And that's because we're kind of mapping appellations and varietals and other attributes together to determine, what are similar products that consumers might like. So basically just set up one personalized collection here. You can specify the max number of products you want to include in that collection. And then whoever views that collection, club member, repeat buyer, first time buyer, they're going to see dynamically changing products in that collection based off their purchase history.
Okay, another question. Can we preload customers that have never visited the site and have those tagged customers see a personalization block, or do they need to already set a cookie?
They have to set the initial cookie. So there has to be one login or one purchase. What you can do though, if you're, let's say you're a new customer coming to Commerce7, you can send everybody a magic link, like a one-time use login link, and that'll put the cookie on their device. So then, when they come back, they have that personalized experience right away.
Is there a limit to the number of personalization blocks? In other words, your example showed 4. Can we have 8?
Uh, if there was a limit, I'm not too sure if there is, but if there was, it would be 50. And so you can definitely have 8 personalization blocks.
Does the add 6 more bottles for free shipping update as they add bottles?
So that piece of personalized content doesn't, but what you could do that would be kind of similar is you could use our carrots in the cart, and that will update automatically if as somebody kind of is filling up their cart. So let's say you say that if you make an e-commerce order that has gets free shipping at 6 bottles, you can have the carrot in the cart kind of update in real time. But with that personalization block, that won't update in real time based off of how many products they have in the package.
There was a follow-up, but how is the collection sorted for anonymous or first-time purchasers?
For anonymous purchasers, the personal collection shows the top products on the system. So the most frequently bought products, what we feel is the most popular products. So it kind of just shows that there, which is part of why we encourage people to keep data in the system really really clean, is because that's going to power those default products that a customer sees.
You mentioned using tags. Can you use metadata as well?
You can. So you can create customer metadata. So let's do that. For example, let's create referral source metadata. Actually, it looks like we already have one here. And if we come into a customer record, you can see the different options available for that metadata. And then we can create a tag based off this metadata. So for example, we can come in here, create a dynamic tag that is going to trigger based off this metadata here, right? So we can say anytime a customer is tagged as having a referral source from social media, they're going to get automatically tagged, and then we can do a personalization based off that tag.
Cool. Will the personalized collection exclude products that we've marked not to be purchased on the web?
It will, yeah.
I think there's a few other questions, but we can answer them after as well. There's a few that are a little bit unrelated.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining the webinar. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any recommendations for future webinars, future pieces of the platform you'd like us to kind of cover in a similar way, feel free to email me at zach@commerce7.com, and we'll take those into consideration. And we'll be following up later today with email giving you a recording of this webinar, as well as templates of the personalized content that we went over here today. So thanks, everybody.